you so much, Katie.
You're
So,
welcome.
there might be some people rolling in here, but so I'm just gonna talk to you guys a little bit first, and then we're gonna dive into today's session. We're doing art for mindfulness today. So I'm just gonna talk for a little bit, and then we'll get into the art portion, which I'm most excited about. So I am a headache medicine neurologist, but that
Psychologist.
is not what we are going to be focusing on or doing anything today. We're looking at how mindfulness can be helpful for migraine treatment. All aspects of the body and mind play a role in migraine and pain perception. From the art perspective, I am personally interested in art, and these paintings behind me are my own. So when I have time, I do paint, which might be limited for all of us in our hobbies. With our day-to-day and life kind of gets increasingly busy with each day. But I'm glad that everyone's here to take a small moment of time, a 30-minute segment, to explore mindfulness with an art sort of aspect. And my only caveat is that I'm not an art therapist. I wish I was. So I'm just a simple neurologist. So I don't know all of the techniques that art therapists use, but we're going to be focusing on what mindfulness can be for you as we apply it to art and to people with migraine. So mindfulness, we might all have kind of heard a little bit here in recent years, is focusing on the present moment. And by doing so, we can help to kind of lose this overwhelming aspect of how all of these small parts of life kind of conglomerate into a bigger stressor for us. With migraine, we know that stress and sort of other life triggers can be a trigger for our migraine attacks, and cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness, and biofeedback have all been shown to be helpful in reducing migraine pain and frequency. So what we're going to be doing here today is taking you on a guided visual journey where we are going to be using the theme of nature and trees for today's session. So what I want everyone to do is we're taking you on a guided visual art journey. You're going to kind of use your own inspiration, and I have some imagery we're going to use during the session, but you get to take this session as your own and kind of make it your own. You don't have to follow any specific regimen or guideline here. So by taking you on a guided visual journey, I mean, we're going to be thinking of the tree as kind of a analogy for our life. We know that there are all kinds of trees out there, hundreds of different types, and the way that their growth and canopy can be, their trunk, their bark, so many different aspects to a tree. But what all trees tend to have in common is there are branches, maybe a leaf of some sort, and they have this outward projection that comes inward to a trunk or a sort of central stem. So we're using that imagery to sort of symbolize our own life and our own sort of physiology. We have a core and a central, and then we have all of these branching projections of life, whether that be life stressors, whether that be symbolistic of pain or different features of your migraine attack. And what I want everyone to do on your paper, and you don't need to show it in the screen, you feel free to, block your screen. I'm going to try to angle the camera so if anyone wants to, they can look at mine. And I also have a PowerPoint with some, again, guided visual imagery. But what I want you to do is visualize a tree, any sort of tree, and you're going to use mindfulness to think of the present moment. Take time, rest your eyes, and sort of imagine and use imagery, and then write down on paper by drawing and letting a free form kind of image come to life of your very own tree. And these branches can be as involved or simple as you want them to be. You can fill in the spaces between the branches with different geometric designs, swirls, shadows, dots, pointillism, any of these sorts of things that can represent all of the various features of your life that come together to not only be stressors for us, but how we can look at these from a different angle using our present moment and perhaps look at these from a different way, that these are part of our life, and how we can get mindfulness from all of these different aspects that contribute to us. I'm also going to play a little bit of music, not for the whole session. So we'll have a little bit of silence and peace too, but a little bit of calming kind of nature music as well to go along with our inspiration today of tree as our guided visual imagery. So I'm going to share my screen here soon for this PowerPoint with some trees. I want you guys to take a look. All right, so mindfulness for art is our theme, and you can use the background as a little bit of inspiration here and let your ideas free flow. This is not a structured or regimented activity. Think of the present moment, think of today, think of this hour. Don't think of tomorrow, you think of today. So think about how the tree branches from roots to trunk all the way to the canopy. And how might this symbolize your own life, whether it's today and all of the different influences that affected your day today or your life in general. Think of the textures, think of the colors, think of what the tree represents: life, strength, resilience, how the trees weather all different sorts of environments. So I'm going to have us begin, and I'm going to leave some of these pictures of trees up. And then in a couple minutes, what I'll do is I'll change my screen and I'll show mine and what I'm working on. So if you guys want, you can look at that in a little bit. But for right now, I want the inspiration and the visual imagery here to guide you and allow your thoughts to free form. As you're thinking of a tree, make sure you think of all aspects of the tree and how these might sort of affect you as a person. Think of the lines, the vertical, the canopy, the horizontal, the texture, and don't be afraid to explore texture in your visual piece. How might you let it flow to convey texture, the different textures of our life? Envision being out in nature. Take a deep breath. What might you smell? How would a tree smell? Allow your hand to take you through a journey of your interpretation of a tree. As we head into our last segment, couple minutes here, everyone can continue to draw and color. I want you to. I'll talk to you a little bit about my piece that I came up with here. I know it was a short session and it goes by fast, but the nice thing about mindfulness and art is that both creating your piece can be a manifestation of mindfulness as you think about your visual imagery of your trees and you envision it in your mind and what you lay down and how you go about drawing. But also the second aspect is what you interpret. So tonight, and sort of as much as you want, I want you to reflect on your piece, whether it's visually or with looking at your piece and how it might symbolize what you're feeling. So for mine, I noticed that I have branches as all trees do, but I filled in a lot of the space between my branches. So I might interpret that as all of the things that I focus on in life, I fill the space between those things, which might lead to me feeling overwhelmed. But once you lay it out and you see a structured pattern, I feel calmer because I know that I've arranged things and I have a sort of pattern that I'm looking at here. These dots that I drew over here symbolize air particles that we know exist, but we cannot see. And floating through the air and decreasing in size, I'm learning to let go of some of this space that I filled in life, to let go of the little things and focus on the bigger things in your life. Take each moment or a few moments in a day, every day, to let go of the small things. Forget about where you're sitting and what you're sitting on, that you have a pain, whether it's your head or your foot, that you have to do this or that task on your daily schedule of to-do list, and let go of the little things and focus on the big things, the branches in your life. What are the branches? Who are the branches? And never forget yourself as the core. I left my core open for now, which I might interpret as I focus too much on the things around me in life and I neglect myself. And I think that's something a lot of us do. So use your piece as a therapeutic reflection tonight and use it to kind of reflect each day on yourself. Take one moment each day and try to let go of the small day-to-day nuances of life. Take yourself to a peaceful and calming place like nature or an indoor area if you don't like being outside, and allow your thoughts to float away.
I love that. Jennifer, can you take off the trees that you shared and it'll share your piece bigger?
Absolutely.
There we go.
So this is mine that I came up with.
Oh, great. I like that.
And those of you who know me, and as you get to know me, you'll know that I'm a complex person. I'm a overwhelming person at times. So use your piece to learn about yourself. There might be things you notice as you reflect on your piece that maybe other people have told you about yourself and you don't notice. And I can see I've got a lot going on. So I need to learn to let go of the small things and focus on the negative space. I filled my background as positive space and I left my tree as negative space.
Cool.
And no one has to share, but you're welcome to if you feel comfortable.
I was just going to say that. Does anybody want to share? I know a lot of people have their cameras off, but if you would like to share your piece, you're welcome to. Tom? Yeah.
I promise to keep this short. I took a little bit different tack, Jennifer. The shaft of the tree, I know you can't read this, but the shaft of the tree says growth and learning.
Wonderful.
I'm recovering from a stroke I had last month, and I'm 74, and there's a lot of tests involved to make sure everything's okay. I'm wearing this plastic heart monitor that's driving me crazy. They screw a disc onto you, and they super glue it for 2 weeks, and you're afraid to knock it off. But anyway, I've learned a lot in the last month or so about like wellness. So you see all my leaves on here. Stress with a slash through it, resilience, wellness, deep breathing, self-care, love, friendship, advocacy, acceptance, and the most important thing, because I'm getting migraines every day for 50 years, honoring my pain. I'm not banging my head against the wall. It's going to take me down for a couple hours. I just sit in the chair in the dark room. I cover myself with a blanket until it goes away. I don't fight it anymore. And I find not fighting it makes it go away a little bit better. And the last thing is awareness. You really need to be aware of your physical and your mental health. I think it's so important to take care of your body and take care of your mental health, and don't ignore signs and symptoms. And I've learned this recently. You really got to take care of yourself. Yes, we have migraine, but there's the other parts of the body that got to get checked out also. So I've learned a lot, and the growth and the learning is important to me. You can never learn too much. My high school has a plaque in front of it. Knowledge is power, and I really abide by that. Thank you. Thank you very much for also studying headache medicine, because we need more doctors who specialize in headache medicine. I think there's 500 of them, Katie. We do have
Yeah,
on the hill. There aren't that many of them, and
correct.
I guess you
Yeah.
would say we're underserved. So I appreciate. Thank you.
I thank
Mama.
you for your contribution. I think that was wonderful. And it's a perfect example of what we wanted to do here today. Each person's picture, whether we share it or not, is going to be different. But many parts of what you said really hit home. One is honoring your pain and honoring your migraine pain. And that's an interesting way of putting it. If for some people, they might think of it, but it's not if you truly think of it. Migraine is part of you in your condition, and pain is an experience. It's not a symptom or a number chart, it's an experience. And so awareness was another important part that what you mentioned. We need to be aware of all of our senses, not just our pain and our being, but self-care and where we are, our environment, and sort of using that awareness to say, I honor my pain and I give it its time, but how might I shift my perception or shift my perspective to something that you can relax or find peace in. So what you said really, I think, is important for a lot of us here in healing from whether it's migraine or stroke or any other condition.
I love it.
Thank
And
you.
I see another person sharing theirs. That is wonderful. I'd love to hear about it, but you certainly don't have to. I think it's beautiful to look at.
Yeah, I like that too.
So I'm Melissa. This is my digital art I did on my Procreate. Since my headache has me in bed tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I usually
Okay.
actually do watercolor, but
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool. That's digital.
yeah.
Cool.
It
So
looks like watercolor inspired. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really does.
so it reminded me of a tree that like has that gnarly, twisty trunk,
I
and it
see
just
that.
is sort of that journey that it has lots of twists and turns in the migraine journey. And I have chronic migraine, and so does my daughter.
Hmm. That's
So
an excellent symbolization of it, that our exteriors could be viewed as one way, but the interior of our trees, we all have a lot of similarities there. The interior of a tree, whether you're looking at an evergreen or a tropical tree, they have so many different exteriors and appearances, but the inside parts and the core have quite a bit of strength to them. It's a
thank you.
beautiful analogy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. I'm not going to show what I actually drew because it's so primitive and I'm no way an artist, but it had me thinking, and I put up this photograph instead that I took
I love it.
of the redwoods. But one of the things that I thought was important to me is that what I drew was something with a huge root base, because if you have a good root base, then you can, on the basis of that, be able to manage everything else that
That
comes
is,
along. And so that was one of my thoughts. And this picture also, to me, yeah, the migraine is important, but realistically, with everything around us, it's just, well, I'm just a small speck. And have to appreciate and have gratitude for everything around me.
that is wonderful, James. I think that was an excellent representation you gave us, both your picture and how you interpreted it, and the one we can't see, but I love the imagery. You have a big root base, and that represents your support system. And whether that is a lot of members or one member, we all know that the strength of our self and our core does have a lot to do with our support system. And looking at that beautiful picture, we see how fragile we are in the greater scheme of things. And another thing I thought of as you were talking is some of the trees maybe you have seen have their roots outside of the ground at a base, at the base of the tree. So each individual tree can be so different, whereas most trees have their roots below ground. Some of them have this huge kind of stump above ground exposed to the elements. There's different types of trees like the banyan tree that has these overhanging, swooping kind of weeping willow-like vines that connect to the roots and form loops. So many different visual imaginations here, and how we can interpret our own visual and artistic manifestation and using it as a mindfulness outlet to take each minute and each day a little bit differently than how it can accumulate.
Just one thought that came to me and a reflection on what you said is I drew my roots with both, having down below and above. And as you're talking, it just reflected on the fact that James Cameron was right in Avatar, that they have just discovered that through the roots, trees can talk to each other through chemical interchange of things going between their roots, that they actually communicate. And as a root and a base, it's so important to maintain that kind of communication. And have interdependence with everything around you, and with others as well as yourself.
Yep, I completely agree. There's so many interesting sort of not just visual and artistic aspects of trees and how they might apply to other living things like ourselves and how they communicate, their branches, their roots. But I'll throw it out there, and I know we're not a room full of neurologists, but the neuron, the main sort of communication unit of our brain, and what transmit pain and feelings and emotions and movement, neurons look oddly like little trees with branching roots and rootlets and branches and twigs. So using all of these visual imagery sort of segments and how you reflect upon them can really be healing. And it's not just a one-time process. You can take a minute to think about these sort of esoteric things and use that to help you with mindfulness in whatever your journey is, whether it's pain or migraine or any other illness or condition.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. And thank you, Jennifer, for your insight in combining this with art. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see everybody. I believe we get one more mindfulness before the end of the year. I'm looking at my calendar. Actually, maybe two.
Yeah.
One or two more. Probably two more. Before the end of the year, looking at my calendar. So we hope to see you all then. And we thank you guys for being with us on Thursday evenings. Everybody have a good night. Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Thank you all for coming.
Yep, thanks for coming. Take care.
Which means that we know exactly.
Good night.
Right.
Bye. Thanks, Jennifer. Have a good night. And I don't know if you,
Katie, get some sleep for your flight tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Did you say you're going to, is your daughter's birthday today?
Yeah, she's 3. She's adorable. I've worked like 9.5 hours today, kind of because I'm sad, but.
Yes, go, go, go. So happy birthday to her.
Thank you, Katie. It was good to see you guys. Bye.
Yep, you too. Bye-bye.